Welcome back to Tired Conquest. Tonight we will be exploring a truly terrifying scenario: the end of the human race by the hands of a very unexpected suspect. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this absolutely riveting story we have in store for you. What if I told you that the most organized army on Earth isn't human? What if the greatest threat to our civilization isn't nuclear war, climate change, or artificial intelligence, but something so small you could crush it with your thumb? Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to witness the most terrifying conquest in human history, and it starts with creatures that have been planning this takeover for millions of years. Picture this. While you're sleeping peacefully in your bed tonight, billions of tiny soldiers are marching beneath your feet. They're communicating through chemical signals, coordinating attacks, and building an empire that spans continents. These aren't science fiction aliens or Hollywood monsters. These are ants, and they've been preparing for global domination since before humans even existed. Now, I know what you're thinking. Ants? Really? Those little insects I step on when I'm walking to my car? But here's what's absolutely mind-blowing about this scenario. Ants already outnumber humans by 15 million to 1. That's 15 million ants for every single person on this planet. And unlike us, they work with perfect unity, unwavering discipline, and a collective intelligence that would make our greatest military strategists weep with envy. In this video, I'm going to reveal exactly how these microscopic warriors would systematically dismantle human civilization. We'll explore their terrifying organizational capabilities, their ruthless expansion tactics, and the devastating biological weapons they've been perfecting for centuries. But most importantly, I'll show you the climactic moment when trillions of these creatures unite to form something so massive and destructive that entire cities crumble beneath its path. This isn't just speculation. Everything I'm about to tell you is based on real ant behavior, real scientific research, and real capabilities that exist in nature right now. The only difference is scale. And trust me, when you understand what these creatures are truly capable of, you'll never look at them the same way again. So buckle up, because we're about to dive into the darkest timeline imaginable, where humanity's greatest enemy isn't some distant alien race, but the tiny architects of apocalypse that have been living right under our noses this entire time. The invasion begins not with explosions or sirens, but with silence. Across major metropolitan areas around the globe, something strange starts happening in the early hours of dawn. Construction workers arriving at building sites notice that concrete foundations have developed hairline cracks overnight. Subway maintenance crews discover that support beams in underground tunnels show signs of structural weakening. Airport engineers find mysterious holes appearing in runway surfaces. But these aren't random infrastructure failures. This is phase one of the most coordinated assault in Earth's history, and it's being executed by an enemy so small that humans dismiss the early warning signs as mere coincidence. Deep beneath the streets of New York, London, Tokyo, and every other major city on the planet, something extraordinary is taking place. Massive super colonies of ants, each containing billions of individuals, have been secretly expanding their territories for decades. These aren't your garden variety anthills. These are underground metropolises that span hundreds of miles, connected by intricate tunnel networks that make our subway systems look like child's toys. The genius of their strategy lies in patience. While humans build upward, creating towering skyscrapers and sprawling urban landscapes, ants have been building downward and outward, creating a shadow civilization that exists parallel to our own. Every foundation we've poured, every basement we've excavated, every sewer system we've installed has inadvertently provided them with the perfect infrastructure to support their growing empire. But here's where it gets truly terrifying. These super colonies aren't operating independently. Through a complex network of chemical communication that scientists are only beginning to understand, colonies separated by thousands of miles have been coordinating their activities. They've been sharing intelligence, resources, and tactical information across continents. While we've been focused on our human conflicts and petty territorial disputes, ants have been building the most sophisticated communication network the planet has ever seen. The first humans to recognize the true scope of what's happening are the entomologists, the scientists who study insects for a living. Dr. Sarah Chen, a leading myrmecologist at Stanford University, notices something unprecedented in her research data. Colony growth rates that should be limited by natural resource constraints are accelerating exponentially. Ant populations that should be competing with each other for territory are instead cooperating at levels never before documented in nature. When Dr. Chen publishes her findings, the scientific community initially dismisses her work as an anomaly. But similar reports start flooding in from researchers around the world. Colony boundaries that have remained stable for decades are suddenly shifting. Ant species that have never coexisted peacefully are forming unprecedented alliances. Most disturbing of all, these colonies are exhibiting problem-solving capabilities that suggest a level of collective intelligence that rivals human civilization. The breakthrough comes when Dr. Chen's team discovers that the ants have been using human infrastructure to their advantage in ways no one thought possible. They've learned to navigate electrical conduits, using the electromagnetic fields generated by power lines to enhance their own chemical communication systems. They've adapted to urban environments so completely that they've essentially hijacked our cities, turning our own constructions into weapons against us. But the ants' greatest advantage isn't their numbers or their organization. It's their understanding of human psychology. They've observed us for countless generations, learning our patterns, our weaknesses, and our blind spots. They know that humans are individualistic creatures who struggle to coordinate large-scale responses to distributed threats. They understand that we're reactive rather than proactive, always responding to crises after they've already begun, rather than preventing them. The second phase of their plan exploits this weakness perfectly. Instead of launching a massive, obvious attack that would unite humanity against a common enemy, they begin a campaign of systematic disruption. Power grids start experiencing mysterious failures as ants chew through critical cables in precisely calculated locations. Water treatment facilities malfunction when millions of ants clog intake systems and damage filtration equipment. Transportation networks grind to a halt as ant swarms create impassable obstacles on highways and railroad tracks. Each incident appears isolated, a random infrastructure failure or natural disaster. Emergency response teams rush from crisis to crisis, never recognizing the coordinated nature of the attacks. Government officials blame aging infrastructure, climate change, or human error. The media treats each event as a separate news story, failing to connect the dots that would reveal the true scope of the invasion. Meanwhile, in laboratories around the world, researchers studying ants' behavior begin to uncover evidence of something that chills them to their core. The ants aren't just coordinating their attacks on human infrastructure, they're actively adapting and evolving at an unprecedented rate. Colonies exposed to pesticides are rapidly developing resistance, then sharing that genetic information with other colonies through mechanisms that shouldn't exist in nature. Groups that encounter new human technologies quickly develop countermeasures and disseminate that knowledge across their global network. Most terrifying of all, they're learning to manipulate other species. Ants have always been known for their ability to farm aphids and other insects, but now they're demonstrating control over creatures far larger and more complex than anything previously documented. Reports surface of ant colonies somehow influencing the behavior of rats, birds, and even larger mammals, turning them into unwitting agents in their campaign against humanity. As the third phase begins, the true horror of the situation becomes impossible to ignore. The third phase begins with what scientists will later call the Great Convergence. Across every continent, something unprecedented starts happening to the natural world. wildlife begins behaving in ways that defy everything we know about animal behaviour patterns. In Central Park, joggers stop mid-stride as they witness thousands of pigeons suddenly changing direction in perfect unison. Not following typical flocking patterns, but moving with military precision towards specific coordinates. Park rangers receive reports of squirrels abandoning their territories in masses, streaming toward the city's underground drainage systems, like refugees fleeing an invisible war. But it's not just small animals. In Yellowstone National Park, entire herds of elk begin migrating toward urban areas, driven by an instinct they've never exhibited before. Zoo animals around the world become increasingly agitated, pacing their enclosures and focusing their attention on the ground beneath their feet, as if listening to something humans cannot hear. The breakthrough comes from Dr. Chen's lab, when her team discovers the horrifying truth. The ants haven't just been studying human infrastructure and behaviour. They've been conducting biological warfare experiments on a scale that makes human chemical weapons look primitive. Through millions of years of evolution, ants have perfected the art of chemical manipulation, using pheromones and other compounds to control the behaviour of other species. Now, they're deploying these weapons on a global scale. Every ant colony on Earth has become a biological laboratory, producing chemical compounds specifically designed to influence mammalian brain chemistry. They're releasing these airborne agents through their tunnel networks, creating invisible clouds of manipulation that spread through subway systems, sewers, and underground infrastructure. The effects on humans are subtle at first. People in major cities begin experiencing unexplained anxiety, confusion, and disorientation. Emergency rooms see a spike in patients complaining of vertigo and loss of spatial awareness. Mental health facilities report unprecedented numbers of individuals claiming they can hear voices or feel compelled to move in specific directions. What makes this phase particularly insidious is that humans attribute these symptoms to urban stress, air pollution, or psychological factors. Medical professionals treat the symptoms rather than recognizing the biological attack taking place beneath their feet. The ants have weaponized our own tendency to rationalize unusual experiences, using our skepticism as a shield for their assault on human consciousness. Meanwhile, infrastructure failures accelerate beyond anything emergency services can handle. The coordinated nature of the attacks becomes impossible to deny when power grids in 12 major cities fail simultaneously, each experiencing identical patterns of damage at precisely the same moment. Communication networks collapse as millions of ants systematically destroy fibre optic cables and cell towers with surgical precision. Transportation systems grind to a complete halt when ant swarms create massive blockages at critical choke points. Bridges become impassable as billions of insects form living barriers that stretch across entire spans. Airports shut down when runways become covered in writhing carpets of ants that damage aircraft engines and interfere with navigation systems. The fourth phase reveals the true genius of their strategy. As human civilization teeters on the brink of collapse, the ants begin the most ambitious construction project in Earth's history. Deep beneath major urban centers, they start building something that defies comprehension. Using techniques perfected over millions of years, they begin connecting their individual bodies into larger structures. Not just simple chains or bridges, but complex architectural forms that demonstrate engineering capabilities far beyond human understanding. They're creating living buildings, organic machines made of billions of coordinated individuals working as a single entity. Seismologists detect unusual vibrations beneath cities around the world. The patterns suggest massive construction activity, but the readings don't match any known human excavation or building techniques. Ground-penetrating radar reveals vast hollow spaces forming underground, but their geometry is so alien that architects and engineers struggle to understand their purpose. The horrifying revelation comes when these underground structures begin to move. What scientists initially assumed were static constructions, are actually dynamic organisms, living entities composed of trillions of individual ants functioning as cells in a larger body. They're not just building structures, they're growing them, creating massive organisms that exist somewhere between architecture and biology. As these creatures reach maturity, they begin to surface. The first emergence occurs in downtown Tokyo at 3:17 in the morning. Emergency sirens wail across the city as something unimaginable breaks through the pavement of the busiest intersection in the world. What rises from beneath the street defies every category human language has to describe living things. Standing over 400 feet tall, the creature appears to be made entirely of ants, but their coordination is so perfect that they function as skin, muscle, and bone of a single titanic organism. Its surface ripples and shifts like liquid mercury, billions of individual insects moving in perfect harmony to create the illusion of solid matter. The creature moves with devastating purpose through the heart of Tokyo, each footstep crushing buildings and sending shockwaves through the earth. But this isn't random destruction. Every movement is calculated, targeting critical infrastructure with surgical precision. Power stations, communication hubs, government buildings, and military installations are systematically eliminated as the creature carves a path of absolute destruction through the city centre. Within hours, similar creatures emerge in London, New York, São Paulo, and Mumbai. Each one is uniquely adapted to its environment, their forms optimized for maximum destruction in their specific urban landscape. The London creature moves through the Thames, its aquatic adaptations allowing it to destroy port facilities and underwater infrastructure. The New York beast climbs skyscrapers like a living mountain, using the city's vertical architecture to amplify its destructive reach. But perhaps most terrifying of all is their intelligence. These aren't mindless destroyers rampaging through cities. They respond to military attacks with strategic countermeasures. When fighter jets attack the creature devastating São Paulo, it launches coordinated swarms of flying ants that disable aircraft engines with pinpoint accuracy. When tanks attempt to engage the Mumbai giant, it releases clouds of acidic compounds that dissolve armor plating in seconds. The world watches in horror as humanity's greatest cities fall to enemies that shouldn't exist, creatures that represent the ultimate evolution of collective intelligence and biological engineering. The international response is swift but utterly inadequate. Within 6 hours of the first emergence, every major military force on Earth mobilizes against these living mountains of destruction. Nuclear submarines surface in harbors around the world, their missile tubes opening like mechanical flowers, preparing to unleash humanity's most devastating weapons. Fighter squadrons scramble from air bases across 5 continents, their pilots receiving orders that sound like something from a nightmare rather than a military briefing. But conventional warfare proves useless against an enemy that exists as both individual and collective, both creature and swarm. When missiles strike the towering beast ravaging downtown London, the explosion tears through millions of ants, creating massive cavities in its form. For a brief moment, human observers dare to hope. Then, in a display that shatters every assumption about biological limitations, the creature begins to regenerate. Fresh waves of ants pour from underground tunnels, flowing up the creature's legs like blood rushing to heal a wound. Within minutes, the damaged sections reform, the beast continuing its methodical destruction as if nothing had happened. Military strategists watch their most powerful weapons prove as effective as throwing pebbles at a hurricane. The Tokyo creature demonstrates an even more horrifying capability. When attacked by a squadron of fighter jets, it doesn't just defend itself, it learns. The first wave of aircraft manages to strafe its surface, causing temporary disruption to its coordinated movement. But when the second wave approaches, the creature is ready. Millions of ants detach from its main body, forming dense clouds that move with impossible precision to intercept the incoming jets. the pilots have no time to react as their engines are clogged with insects, their windshields covered in writhing masses that block all visibility. One by one, the aircraft spiral toward the ground in flaming wreckages, their destruction serving as a grotesque lesson in the futility of human resistance. Dr. Chen, now working frantically with a global team of scientists in an underground bunker beneath NORAD, makes a discovery that drains the colour from her face. The creatures aren't just destroying cities randomly. Their paths of destruction follow a precise pattern, targeting specific locations with mathematical accuracy. They're not rampaging monsters driven by instinct. They're executing a calculated plan to dismantle the pillars of human civilization. Power generation facilities, communication networks, transportation hubs, financial centers, government buildings, military installations. Each target is chosen not for its immediate destructive value, but for its role in the complex web of interdependence that keeps human society functioning. The ants understand something that humanity has forgotten in its rush toward globalization, that our greatest strength is also our greatest weakness. Our interconnected world can be brought down by severing the right connections. As the creatures continue their systematic demolition of urban centers, smaller ant armies emerge from the tunnels. To complete the work, their giant counterparts have begun. These ground forces move with the discipline of seasoned military units, but their tactics are alien and terrifying. They flow through city streets like living rivers, adapting their formation to overcome any obstacle in their path. When they encounter barricades erected by desperate human defenders, they don't attempt to break through or go around. Instead, they flow over and under simultaneously. Some ants climbing walls and buildings, while others tunnel beneath defensive positions in real time. Human soldiers find themselves surrounded by enemies that attack from every direction at once, including directions that shouldn't be possible. The psychological impact on human defenders is devastating. Fighting an enemy you can see and understand is one thing. Fighting an enemy that exists as millions of individual units while simultaneously functioning as a single intelligent entity breaks something fundamental in the human mind. Soldiers trained to target specific threats find themselves firing into swarms that simply absorb their bullets and continue advancing. Worse still, the ants demonstrate an understanding of human psychology that borders on supernatural. They attack not just military targets, but the symbols and landmarks that give human communities their sense of identity and belonging. In Paris, they systematically dismantle the Eiffel Tower, carrying away pieces of the iconic structure, piece by piece. In New York, they swarm over the Statue of Liberty, their combined weight causing the monument to slowly sink into the harbour. These aren't strategic targets in any conventional military sense. They're psychological warfare on a scale never before conceived, designed to break the human spirit by destroying the very things that make us feel human. The ants have studied us so thoroughly that they understand our emotional vulnerabilities better than we understand them ourselves. As news reports flood in from around the world, a pattern becomes clear that fills Dr. Chen with existential dread. The creatures aren't just attacking major cities, they're targeting every population centre simultaneously, from megalopolises to small towns. Remote research stations, isolated military bases, even individual farms in rural areas find themselves under assault by perfectly coordinated ant armies. The scope of the operation is beyond anything humanity has ever attempted or even imagined. Billions of individual colonies, each containing millions of ants, all working together in perfect synchronization across every continent on Earth. It's as if the entire species has transformed into a single organism with a distributed nervous system spanning the globe. But the true horror reveals itself when Dr. Chen's team discovers what's happening to the human populations in conquered areas. The ants aren't simply killing people, they're studying them. Captured humans are taken alive to underground chambers where they're subjected to the same kind of biological experimentation that the ants have been perfecting on other species for millions of years. Through microscopic analysis of brain tissue and behavioral observation, the ants are reverse engineering human consciousness itself. They're learning not just how we think, but how we feel, how we dream, how we experience the world through our uniquely human perspective. This knowledge is then distributed through their chemical communication network, making every ant colony on Earth more effective at predicting and countering human behavior. The implications are staggering. Humanity isn't just facing conquest, we're facing absorption, the complete integration of our species into an alien collective intelligence that views us not as enemies to be destroyed, but as components to be understood and utilized. As the sun sets on what may be humanity's final day as the dominant species on Earth, the largest of the ant creatures begins to move toward its ultimate target. Rising from the ruins of Manhattan, this colossus dwarfs even its siblings in other cities, standing nearly 800 feet tall and composed of an estimated 2 trillion individual ants. It represents the culmination of millions of years of evolution and planning. But this creature is different from the others. As it moves through the devastated streets of New York, its form continues to grow, absorbing fresh streams of ants that emerge from every sewer grate, every crack in the pavement, every building it passes. It's not just destroying the city, it's incorporating it, transforming the urban landscape into part of its own body. Steel and concrete dissolve under streams of acid, secreted by specialized ants. The raw materials somehow being processed and integrated into the creature's ever-expanding form. Buildings become bones, electrical cables become nerves, water pipes become arteries in a transformation that defies every law of physics and biology humanity thought it understood. The creature's destination becomes clear as it approaches the United Nations building, the symbolic heart of human cooperation and diplomacy. But it doesn't simply destroy this final bastion of human civilization. Instead, something far more ominous occurs as billions of ants begin forming complex geometric patterns across the creature's surface, creating what appears to be a message written in a language of living flesh. Dr. Chen, watching through satellite feeds from her bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, realizes with mounting horror that she's witnessing the birth of something unprecedented in Earth's history. The ants aren't just conquering humanity, they're preparing to communicate with us as equals, as representatives of a new dominant species, addressing the remnants of the old. The age of human dominance is ending, and the age of the collective consciousness is about to begin. The message begins to form across the creature's surface, each ant positioning itself with a mechanical precision to create symbols that pulse and shift like living hieroglyphs. Military satellites orbiting overhead capture images that send shockwaves through every remaining command center on Earth. The patterns aren't random, they're mathematical sequences, prime numbers, geometric proofs that demonstrate an intelligence far beyond anything humanity has ever encountered. But this isn't a peaceful first contact scenario. The message is an ultimatum, written in the universal language of mathematics that no species could misunderstand. The ants are offering humanity a choice: submit to integration into their collective consciousness, or face complete extinction. The symbols spell out coordinates, locations where human survivors can gather for processing, for transformation into something that's no longer entirely human. Dr. Chen's hands tremble as she translates the final sequence of symbols. The ants aren't just conquering Earth, they're preparing to expand beyond it. The coordinates don't just mark gathering points for human survivors, they mark launch sites for something unimaginable. The ants have been using human technology, human materials, human knowledge to construct vessels capable of carrying their collective intelligence to other worlds. Every space program on Earth, every satellite launch, every piece of aerospace technology has been secretly infiltrated and studied by creatures so small they could hide in the circuitry itself. They've learned to build rockets, to navigate space, to identify habitable planets throughout the galaxy. Earth was never their final destination. It was their testing ground, their proving ground, before spreading their collective consciousness across the stars. The revelation hits with devastating clarity. Humanity's greatest achievements, our proudest moments of scientific advancement, our dreams of exploring the cosmos have all been hijacked by an intelligence that views us as useful tools rather than worthy adversaries. Every rocket we've launched has carried microscopic passengers, gathering intelligence for this moment. Every signal we've sent into space has been monitored, analysed, and used to map the locations of other worlds that might harbour life. And there you have it, the most terrifying conquest in Earth's history, executed by creatures we never saw coming. From their patient underground expansion to their systematic dismantling of human civilization, to those final moments when living mountains of coordinated intelligence rose from our very streets to claim dominion over our world. The ants didn't just defeat us through superior numbers or technology, they defeated us by understanding something we forgot. That true power lies not in individual strength, but in perfect unity of purpose. Next time you see an ant crawling across your kitchen counter, remember this story. Because while this scenario might be fiction, their capabilities are absolutely real. Thank you for listening to this truly remarkable story of how such an overlooked part of the world grasps the earth by the palm of its hands, leaving every other being no choice but to conform. Hopefully you enjoyed the story we had in store for you tonight. Sweet dreams, and don't let the ants bite.